Thank you for having us participate to show how Business Central can be used for nonprofit and governmental accounting. Our key takeaways for this session were that nonprofit governments need more than just interfund balancing or D2D from entries. The app for Business Central from Tangicloud provides a fully future-proof solution because there's tons of functionality and the software keeps growing based on our commitment and focus on these industries. And we are committed to helping Business Central partners to serve their customers, nonprofits, governments, as well as for-profit organizations, because some of our functionality, as we look at the base functionality enhancements, could be used by an organization who needs a better general ledger, better procure to pay, better Excel integration, and becomes easier to support. However, our industry functionality adds fund grant accounting, loans payables, receivables, advanced allocations, the electronic approvals that are user-defined, and they will also extend the ability to connect non-accounting users through expense reports, timesheets, and requisitions with Punch-Out. Fund accounting and fund management and grant management is much more than just balancing funds. Yes, of course we do that, but that's probably the least of what we do. Managing restrictions, fund classes, net asset accounts, your statement of financial position, be able to close by multiple retained earnings or net asset accounts, and then to calculate indirect cost recoveries to capture your admin costs. The financial reporting in Base Business Central is improved drastically by allowing pagination, style sheets to add color, cross-fiscal reporting, so you can life-to-date and end-of-life reporting in the system, and of course anything you put out into Excel goes across as a number. Tons of improvements in procure to pay, again to allow team users to use purchase quotes or purchase requisitions to initiate purchasing activities. Lots of enhancements in payment processing, things like maker checks, check signatures, the ability to improve your flexibility in creating invoices from multiple POs through get PO lines, and of course a long-awaited feature, the ability to do a one-time vendor in the system. So let's move on to a demonstration, and we'll show you how we enhance Base Business Central, make it easier to support, provide deep industry functionality, and of course, as always, provide exceptional financial reporting. Well, let's take a quick look at the Fundamentals app for Business Central in action, extending Base Business Central to add nonprofit and government accounting functionality, as well as dramatically enhancing the core product. So if we look at the usability of the system, we've spent a lot of time and energy understanding that people wear multiple hats in nonprofit government accounting departments. So the ability to dive across the system into all the journals, including commitment and encumbrance journals, enter all kinds of documents and normal documents that you get in Business Central, plus purchase requisitions, the posted ledgers in the system, and you'll see commitment and encumbrance journals and registers, and then posted documents, and you will see the addition of things like expense reports and posted dates in the system, as well as posted purchase requisitions. Loans, the additional advanced app for those organizations who need loans payable, loans receivable functionality, to incoming and outgoing loans with multiple accrual calculations, etc. The business rules area, we'll see example of this later, relay the Base Business Central approval engine, except you never have to go into the very complex setup. Functional users, accounting users get set up their own rules to approve batches, to budget approval and budget controls, document lines, and as well as have a much more sophisticated validation scheme than Base Business Central does, which allows you to combine across GL accounts, funds, other data elements, as well as all your additional 8 global dimensions. On the allocation side, we have many ways of doing allocations: line allocations, markup allocations, batch allocations. We'll see examples of those coming up in the the transactions we show you, and then of course out of the box statements, statement of activities, financial position, and functional expense, as well as some additional cool functionality for those QuickBooks graduates in the system to easily go in and look at all the open invoices and edit and just quickly select and pay them for manual and computer checks in the system. So there's all the usability improvements, including things like terminology in the system. This was a field that in 25 years I've always had to do a double take to try and remember what this field meant. So we actually fixed the captions and the tooltips to be more informative, and as well you'll see lots of improvements in the accounts payable area, be able to select payments by fund, by specific user, and so on. A powerful general ledger is the heart and soul of a nonprofit or governmental accounting system. Business Central out of the box does a fairly decent job with a couple of global dimensions or segments, if you will. However, it falls short in handling the complexity of data capture needed for a mission-critical general ledger system. In Fundamentals, we add fund class, and fund type into the system, into the GL, as well as expanding the 2 global dimensions to a total of 8 global dimensions to provide maximum flexibility. In addition to budget and actual amounts, Fundamentals adds the ability to track commitments and encumbrances coming from requisitions and purchase orders in the system, so you can real-time calculate what's available to spend as the net of all these amounts. If we examine a journal entry in the system, we will see that we allow an import from Excel capability that's built into Fundamentals. We go to pick templates, could be from a payroll source, or maybe an external billing source, etc. We're going to select a file from our stored folders of my system. And once we pick that file, you'll see that this is an Excel workbook that we're picking. That kind of flashed by quickly. However, that Excel workbook had multiple sheets in it. We're going to select the clean sheet and press OK a couple of times and bring in those transactions. The system will verify and validate thousands of entries, warn the user about errors, so that you're very efficient in managing data coming into the system. If we switch over to some examples we have set up of some sample journal entries, here's 4 sets of debits and credits, 4 different document numbers, and we're going to preview post and see all the work that Fundamentals will do for the user, so you don't have to do all this work in Excel and then import the data back in. Let the system do the heavy lifting for you. When we look at the results of these entries, you'll see that we generate 24 transactions out of those 8 journal lines. And looking at the entry type column of these entries, you'll see we're generating interfund transactions, duty forms, allocations, markup applications, as well as automatic releases from restriction. Let Fundamentals do all your heavy lifting for you proactively before the fact, so your financials are always accurate. Using Business Central dimensions to track funds and fund class codes is a waste of valuable general ledger detailed information. Our fund and ground card lets you capture additional information like manager responsible approvals, user-defined fields, start and end dates in the systems, as well as allocation codes. Team users with Fundamentals can instantiate procurement transactions, documents with purchase requisitions, as well as purchase quotes in the system, and those will flow through eventually into posted purchase invoices. If we just look at an example, an invoice here, we've got an invoice with 2 lines. 5 review exceptions, you'll notice this one line's highlighted in red. then for approval. The document needs to be sent for approval, and it's probably one of the most sophisticated approval engines that is completely user definable, does not require a technical expert to do this. In this case, we're checking and showing that we're violating a budget exception rule as well as an IT rule for the second line in the document that needs to be routed to a workflow user group, and the overall invoice for $1.2 million needs to be routed to a user executive for final approval. Procurement Fundamentals is radically based Business Central to make your procure-to-pay processes the most efficient possible. Please check us out at Tangicloud.com or email us at info@tangicloud.com. And we thank you all for attending, and we'll hand back over to the moderator to continue your session.